ahead and give a good stretch real quick. Let the people at home see you stretch.
Yeah, stretched for a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
Just,
man.
stretch my jaw.
Ah.
That was
We're doing the
that
most
was
right
not
now.
sus at all, man. That wasn't sus at all.
All right. I want to welcome everybody to the 2-4 podcast. I'm your host, Christian, and this is my broski, Kenneth. Say what's up, Kenneth.
What's up, everybody?
Man, today we have a nice little midweek episode, man. It helps out that the NFL helped us out and the NBA helped us out because this week, man, we had the trade deadline. We had all kinds of drama since the last time we talked in the NBA, and man, they just gave us so much, man, so much juicy material, man. You know, it drives me kind of crazy that people don't like sports when they don't realize how controversial and how much drama and all that kind of stuff is in there. Like they like, soap operas and all this other stuff, man. The sports world is kind of like a soap opera, man. It's crazy.
It really is, bro.
It's like a soap
Especially
opera,
if you
a
got,
movie. Man, go ahead.
especially if you got teams that were supposed to be, okay, but they're not. And then you got so many moves within the coaching staffs. So it's spicy.
For reals, man.
But first, tell the people, man.
Tell the people. Let's see.
Man.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification, man. Just help us out, man. You ain't even gotta subscribe, man. Just like and maybe talk some crap to us or
yeah.
You don't even have to talk. You don't even have to talk crap, man. Tell us about your team. Tell us about whether or not they made a trade or not, and what you think, man. We love to discuss this with anybody, man.
Or whether your team should have made a trade and they never did. You never.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let us know.
Man.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. So, man, where do we start with all this stuff? That should we start with the trades,
man,
or should we start with the drama?
Let's start with the trades because we got some big name trades here for some teams.
All right, so how about we start with probably the biggest name that started it out, since it was the biggest name after your team made their splash
after McCaffrey. Yeah.
So I would say it's Roquan Smith to the Bears, or not to the Bears, to the Ravens. To the Ravens. That's a big one, man. That with his style of play, man, this might be the best move that they've made in a long time. This is probably the perfect replacement for Ray Lewis, and he's young.
Oh yeah.
So he's gonna be in the game for a minute, man. So this is a nice move right here, man. That's kind of going under the radar in some ways because I don't think people are processing that type of impact.
Yeah, and I mean it's good for both teams because you look at the Bears, they get 2 2023 picks, a second rounder and a fifth rounder, and they get a linebacker for replacement. So they had a good side of the trade as well. So they're not down in the dumps,
Yeah, for sure, man. They
got some stuff to build on.
Like you said, they got a replacement. And they're able to see whether or not they want to keep the guy or not because they also got a second and a fifth round pick, and so they could easily replace that guy with this draft coming up, man. I think it's a win-win for both teams.
I'm looking at the grades right now. They're giving both about a B. But yeah, big time pickup for the Ravens. I feel like now he's going to a team where he can even heighten his game. Maybe he even gets in contact with Ray Lewis and they get to
Oh,
talking. And he's
yeah, for
like, hey,
sure.
man, this team, you can light this team up and you guys could go far, you know?
Dude,
So
I
I might
wouldn't,
spark a little bit in him.
with how talented he is, I wouldn't have been surprised if like before this trade ever happened, he's had some
Oh, yeah,
contact with him. But like now that this has happened, I'm sure that he's for sure getting a lot more
for
contact with this dude,
sure.
man. Like this, like I said, this is a great move. This is somebody like when I play Madden, I trade for this guy all the
Yeah.
time, and he's just a phenomenal player, man. I've been a big fan of his since he's been in the league, and like I said, he's young. He's going to a very good organization, very good.
Very good.
Um,
Very
and
good.
I would probably say that this starts to put some pressure on the Chiefs and the Bills. I'm not I'm not gonna go out and say that this like puts them on their level because we got to see how everything pans out. But
I mean,
I think
yeah, it
I think
does
it puts
put some
pressure.
pressure on them because you look, the Baltimore Ravens are 5-3, and we've kind of really not seen them play lights out football. We've
Yeah,
kind of seen them play okay football,
yeah,
but they're 5-3. Imagine
yeah,
what they're gonna do when they're playing like, beat them up football, like shut you down, beat you up football. So that's gonna be pretty exciting to see them compete.
yeah. And they're being an extra game in the season. Adds time with knowing the playbook, knowing your teammates, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and
Yeah,
what's required of you and all of that. So it gives them plenty of time, and yeah, I mean, I think all the focus is going to go on the Ravens when people talk about this trade, but I do want to give a little bit of love over here to the Bears because I think they're gonna like, I don't know if I want to say tank it, but like they're happy with whatever they get during the season, with the wins and losses and all that.
yeah,
Um, they're gonna compete, and knowing that you have some draft capital is gonna help out.
yeah,
Whether you use it to draft somebody or you use it in the trade, because they could easily use
yeah,
it in a trade when the draft gets closer, and maybe pick up a nice piece or two with those picks.
yeah.
But
For sure, yeah.
I think the Bears are gonna be you know on the up.
They're in a good spot. They're in
Yeah,
a good spot right now. 'Cause, I mean, they got some nice pieces at running back right now, and
I love
Justin
their
Fields
quarterback.
is just getting Justin Fields is just getting in. He's growing as a quarterback, which I like
Yeah.
to see. Um, I mean, those are some solid picks. You can pick up some players that in this draft are looking there. There's players in the draft that are probably going to look to go to drop a lot, because people are not going to like want to take their chances on them. So there's going to be some players to pick up.
Now let's move to another trade. It's
Another
probably
big name.
probably the second biggest name, and that's Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins, man. And Denver receives Chase Edmond, and he's a good running back. He's good. He's good,
He's a
and
solid pickup,
right now they're
which
struggling.
helps them,
Yeah, because they're
which
struggling
helps
with the
them
running
big
backs.
time.
The injuries, plus before that they were dealing with a lot of fumbles, man.
Oh my
Um,
god, yeah.
so and
And they
both
get
teams
and they get
get draft picks, man.
and the Broncos get a first round pick.
Yep.
But yeah, the 49ers pick, which the Dolphins had, and the 2024 fourth round pick. So definitely helps the Broncos there in that situation,
Hmm.
and big time for the Dolphins to get Bradley Chubb.
Definitely, and I like this Dolphins team, man. They're going to be a serious threat. Also in the
Yeah, this is
AFC, they're going to put pressure on the two juggernauts that we just talked about, man. Uh,
yeah.
these teams are they're doing these defensive moves because they know that they got to make a stop if they get into like goal line situations, man. They need to like
They're
make
trying
things
to
happen,
find
man.
answers. They're
Yeah,
trying to find answers for Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen.
yeah.
you know, and this isn't the only move the Dolphins made. We'll get to
No,
that in a little bit.
yeah.
They they made some other moves, so they're kind of in that pushing the chips in mode right now. They're kind of like let's do it. Let's see where we can go.
And
So
and and I don't feel like the Broncos are losing like a ton on their end.
no,
I think
oh no,
people are like they still think about Bradley Chubb like the way he was the first 2 years in Denver, but this dude, he's been struggling with injuries here and there, and his play hasn't always been really impactful. But he has the capabilities. He's shown it. But
yeah.
I think with Denver, um, man, who knows? Maybe he needs to be in a warmer weather climate to maybe not get so dinged up and all that. But
Yeah,
but Denver to me, they're 3-5. Obviously, we've talked about how Russ has been kind of like the thing that's keeping them back a little bit. But if he starts to get
yeah.
things rolling, if he can build on what he did in London, then you know the fact that Denver didn't trade away Jerry Judy, which I told people, and I think I've told you, I don't think they're moving Jerry Judy. I don't.
No,
He's
there was a lot
yeah,
of rumors, but it's good that they didn't.
yeah. So they kept the offense intact, and that defense was stellar, whether Bradley Chubb was in it or not.
And
That
they
they're
and they
they're
gain a
pretty
piece
good.
for their offense, so
Yeah,
which was probably the worst running back core in the before Devontae or what's his name,
thinking of
the one who got injured.
I can't remember who got injured.
It wasn't
No, I'm drawing blanks right now. I'm like
I
completely
know.
blank. But
But yeah,
this,
no,
yeah, this just
it's Devontae or something.
I can't remember, bro. Like I'm drawing
He's
a
been
big ass blank.
he got injured so early, so I hadn't really have been able to see him play much. But yeah, they big time needed Chase Edmonds.
Yeah. Uh,
It's gonna ruin me right now.
when you figure it out, man, you just go ahead and just blurt it out. But I'm gonna move to the next one.
Go ahead.
So like we mentioned, there was already uh there was a trade for the Bears that also included somebody else, and they traded a second round pick to Pittsburgh in order to get Chase Claypool. So they want to give Justin Fields as many options as possible. Um, I'm not hating on it. I don't know if Chase is worth the second round. Like if I'm trying to get uh, Justin Fields like a real weapon, I would have been hitting up the Texans because remember
Javante Williams.
Devontae
That's what
Williams.
who it
Gotcha.
was. Javante.
Javante.
Yeah. Yeah. He was the only one that was good for their backfield until he got injured.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
Keep going.
so I was saying that if I wanted to go after a bigger name, and possibly make the playoffs or at least just really helped the growth of my quarterback for a while, I would have went after Cooks, out in Texas.
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he was rumored to be traded to a couple different teams. I don't think he was ever in the rumor mill for Chicago, but to be honest, I don't even think there was a rumor mill about them getting a receiver. I'm at least I don't recall. But
Yeah.
it's not a bad trade. Like I said, the only thing that I feel is um a little bit too much was giving up a second round pick for him. I think you could have pulled off
Yeah.
a third round and maybe one
I
other
think
like lower pick or something. I don't know.
yeah, I think the Steelers made off with this trade because seeing how Claypool uh played, it just seemed like the chemistry wasn't there. There was a lot of plays where Claypool's IQ just wasn't there. He could have made a quicker, a cut in the route. It would have been wide open in some plays. But yeah, I mean, let's see how he does with a different quarterback. Sometimes that all it does is just a change. Who knows? But I mean, pretty good for the Steelers to come up with a second round pick, which is really good.
Yeah, yeah. Steelers, I think made out with that one as well.
Yeah.
So the next one on the list is the Vikings and Detroit hitting each other up, swapping
Yeah.
some picks, and also receiving a player. Uh,
Yeah, this one you don't see often, in the divisions.
yeah, yeah, but I think the only reason why it happened is because Detroit doesn't see themselves having the same type of aspirations that the Vikings have right
Says,
now.
yeah, yeah. You're dipping at the bottom here, but
Yeah,
it's a good pickup for. I mean, looking right now, both teams, you know,
yeah. What's that conditional,
but
man? What is it?
conditional fourth round pick in the 2024 draft, and then each team has a
I,
yeah.
okay. Um, but yeah, I definitely see this helping out Minnesota in the now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, be-
T.J. Hawkinson is a really solid tight end.
yeah, he's solid. Uh, this this is definitely gonna help in ensuring that they keep the lead over Green Bay.
Yeah,
And yeah, I like this. I actually kind of like it more for Detroit. Because I'm thinking future. I'm thinking about what I could do to
definitely
really
future. They got
start turning things around. Because you know what? I'm not gonna lie, man. I know that they're 1-6, but their guys play really hard. They they
yeah. They're not the same team as last season that we saw.
yeah, yeah.
They
These guys are like
they're
close to like finishing out games and stuff.
yeah, and I mean, once they get DeAndre Swift back healthy, they're gonna have a good running back core in DeAndre Swift and Williams.
Yeah, because like I'm gonna give an example, man. When they played look up the score because I can't remember what team they played against, but I remember that they had the lead on them and they were a good team. It was against the Dolphins. Um, they led uh 27-17 uh going into the half, and then Miami went off in the third quarter, gets 14 points in that quarter, and they just remained scoreless. The but at the same time, you can kind of tip your hat off a little bit to Detroit because they let Miami go scoreless in that fourth quarter. So
Yeah,
I mean, there's evidence of like something nice, something could that could go down in the future as a playoff team that is one that you got to keep an eye on. Their coaching staff does a really good job of like having a good relationship with the players. I think that's why you see them play so hard, is because
Yeah.
of that closeness that they have with their guys. And a lot of times that does
Yeah.
wonders for a team, because they'll want to run through a brick wall for you. You know, like if you don't have the
Yeah.
cachet of I'm a coach who, you know, whose record is like crazy good, then you need to like make it up with having a great relationship with the entire team.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Yeah.
feel that they have.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of Detroit fans giving up on this team. I mean, I don't blame them. You know, if a lot of them are saying being a Detroit Lions fan doesn't bring me joy anymore, I'm not going to be one anymore. But I mean, those who are holding on, hold out, because there could be some good things in the future.
Yeah. Don't the only thing that I'll say to the fan base, like I totally understand your guys' feelings, because you know, for a good stretch my team was terrible.
Yeah.
And I know how hard that can be. Um but I think when you go through a long drought of losing and winning and all that, like you 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 go numb to things. Like whether you're a very successful team or a very unsuccessful team, like you go into every season kind of like blind. Like if you're a team that's won a lot, then as soon as you start losing, you're kind of in denial. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, we're gonna win. Hey, this is gonna be, yeah, we got this, we got this. So they're
Yeah.
they're in denial about things, and then if you're a losing team, like you don't look at the actual bright spots that you have, and so like when winning starts to happen, it catches you by surprise. When really, if you paid attention, it was there. It should not have caught you by surprise.
Yeah.
So you know, hang in there, Lions fans, because I do think that you guys have some nice pieces, um, and I bet you your guys' GM had to hang up on a lot of dudes that, and that means something, because it means that like there's a lot of players on your team that other teams want,
Of course, absolutely.
but then they also want to take the advantage of you and you know, try to like
Yeah.
bamboozle you into a bad trade. But I think you guys made a good trade. So
Do you
that's all.
foresee the future of Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit to retire? In the future, hey, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. You know,
He'd be
you
like,
can't.
let's make one last run, you know? Let's try. If
Yeah,
there's
never,
got good they
never
got
say
good
never.
pieces in the future, man,
Well,
that'd bring
hold
some
on.
grown
If
men to
if they
tears.
if they got a bunch of good pieces, and he goes back and he
Fucks it all
loses,
up.
because I was about to say, I don't see this being Tom Brady saying, "Oh, there's some talent out there in Tampa Bay. I can win with that." Yeah, I don't. Matthew Stafford
Yeah.
is on a different level than Tom, man. Like Tom's up
Yeah.
here, Tom's up here, and Matthew's somewhere between here and here.
And
You know,
here, yeah.
hey, he's a good quarterback, but I wouldn't put my eggs in that basket. For
Nah.
the comeback is gonna lead to a Super Bowl. Hell no.
Hell no.
Um. So, Philly and the Bears.
The
Uh,
Bears. The Bears coming up with another pick.
another pick, but I have to be honest, I kind of don't like this trade.
Yeah.
I think that this is a situation where they could have got more.
Yeah.
Because Robert Quinn's a nice name, and then you're trading him, okay, to the only undefeated team in the league right now. So if I'm a team being hit up by a team with Super Bowl expectations because they're like really feeling what they've been doing all year long, I'm like, okay, well, in order to get something, you have to like spend on
Yeah.
something.
Gotta
You feel
give me
me?
some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I was going to get a 4th-round pick and that's it, I'd be like, nah, man. You at least need to throw in some future picks too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, you're
That
going to
was a
be.
steal right there.
You're gonna be solid for a while, so I should be solid for a while too. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
I should have a draft pick for next year and maybe the following year, depending on how high of a pick you're asking for. But I don't know. I just feel like they sold too low.
Yeah.
What about you, man? You feel the same exact way?
Yeah. They could have got more. I feel like it was a situation they were like oh, you want to do another deal? Let's do it. And they kind of just got what they could get. They're like, this is what you give you, and they said yes to the first thing. That's kind of what it looks like. There's like really no. Maybe there's some negotiation, but maybe the Eagles were like not gonna budge. But the Bears gave in,
They did.
and the Eagles just got more stacked on defense.
They did. They did.
They did. Oh.
Uh, so I would probably say this probably helps them be undefeated for a little bit longer. The moves that they made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They on paper and looking at their schedule, they should
Yeah, because
not lose more than 3 games.
don't they have like one of the easier schedules coming up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, to be them right now, man. That's but you know what? All that matters is what you do in the postseason, because that's a whole different season.
Yeah.
That
a whole different
that undefeatedness does nothing for you. So
you're basically starting from scratch at that point.
Yep. So Jacksonville Jaguars decided to hit up to Atlanta Falcons, and they're like let's make a deal. And their guy was like,
You want to make a deal?
We could make a deal. What you thinking about, man? And he was like, the Jacksonville was like, I don't know. I have a quarterback with long hair who needs somebody to throw to. And Atlanta was like, oh, really? Because, I'm in need of some picks. Ain't nobody on your team I just want some picks, man. And so Jacksonville was like, oh, okay, we got plenty of picks. What you want, man? They were like, I don't know, who do you want from my team? And they were like, oh, give us Calvin Ridley. And then they were like, okay, how about a 5th and a 2nd? And they were like, okay, but in what order? What year? And they were like, well, how about the 5th this year and the 2nd round the following year? They're like, okay, because if it was the other way, I'd say
And that is exactly how it went down.
That's exactly how
word for word, exactly how it went down.
And then before they got off the phone, they gave each other a kiss. They said, "Mwah," and then
they said, "Love you, bye." That's exactly how they drew it up. Well, man, what do you think about that? Oh, Sunshine over there again, another piece to throw to if he can throw it to him.
Well, you said it right there. If he can throw it to him, because I've already said I wasn't the biggest fan of his. I it's always a good thing to give your quarterback some confidence, especially if they haven't done anything that
Yeah.
spectacular. Um, so it can't hurt to get him excited about another target to throw to, um, and that's really all you can do for your quarterback who's young in the league, who has to be a face of the franchise right away. You got to give them
Yeah.
confidence, however way you can. Even if like this doesn't work out, they don't have the best chemistry. At least they know um, that the team has his back. You know, that's what you want. Is you're always gonna
Yeah.
try to keep them happy.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
as far as Atlanta, I mean, getting a second round pick, I think was a nice thing. Even if it is for the following year, I don't see Jacksonville being a playoff team that following year, so it's probably going to be a higher second round pick. Um, and as far as the fifth round pick, there's always a couple players that slip through the cracks in the fifth round that always
Oh
wind
yeah.
up making a name for themselves every year. Every year, there's always a fifth rounder doing something, you know, and Atlanta I think has been doing pretty good. I think they so far have surpassed people's expectations a lot. To be 4-4, I mean that's like two more wins
Yeah.
than what people probably would have gave them.
I mean, on the rate they're going, they're on the rate to win their division. So that, I mean, nobody
And
thought they were going to do that.
yeah, would anybody have thought that, especially knowing that Marcus Mariota is their starting QB?
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, if Jacksonville can figure it out with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's going to have some good pieces. I mean, Ridley is not quite a true number one, but he's the closest thing that they'll have. Um, and then they also got Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. Uh, you know, maybe in the next year, Christian Kirk it develops more and he steps up and becomes that wide receiver one.
Uh-huh.
Um, who knows? But he does have some pieces to throw to. It's just him having the confidence to really get the job done next season, or even start the rest of this season. You know.
Yeah. So the next trade is between the Chiefs and the Giants, man. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I find kind of crazy is because like we're both looking at the same site and they're giving grades on these trades, and because the Chiefs are the Chiefs, I feel like they decided to give them a B minus over the Giants, who get a C plus. Like, why is
Yeah.
that? I mean, uh, Giants have the better record, and I get that the Chiefs have been the top dog and all that, but like, do you really have to have like? I feel like this is like a winner's biasness kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's kind of even to me. The Giants don't need who they gave up. They gave up Kadarius
Kadarius.
Toney. Uh,
There was
and
actually a little bit of controversy about this trade and how Tony was acting towards the Giants. He had been reportedly been injured for a little while,
uh-huh.
and then after he got traded, he came out and told him, he was like, "Yeah, I was kind of milking the injury. I wasn't really injured all that much." He just felt like he didn't want he didn't want to be in New York or something like that.
Yeah, and so
I was like, oh,
to
all
me,
right.
if anything, the Giants are the ones that get a higher grade because you have a winning
Yeah.
record with a very disgruntled employee.
Yeah.
You know,
And you get picks for the next draft. Like
yeah, yeah,
that's
and
great.
they could easily replace him with that third round and have like much better. We've seen
Oh yeah.
we've seen third round picks pan out just fine in the NFL, just
Yeah.
fine. And yeah, Kadarius. I mean,
He was a
he's a
big
decent wide.
bust. Big bust.
He's a somewhat decent wide receiver, but I mean, I don't think he's gonna all of a sudden be like this stud
The
in,
greatest.
with Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's especially because right now Kansas City has just started really clicking with their wide receivers. Their whole receiver core is now starting to look more of like a dominating core than what they have in the beginning. Because you remember, and anybody watching or listening, you guys remember, I was saying this isn't the same receiving core. They're not that dynamic, but now they've gotten that dynamic.
Yeah.
So this could
Definitely. I think
yeah.
it's just another piece that they can tinker with. I think the Chiefs could either make out on this or they couldn't, and it honestly really won't affect them that much. Yeah, they're losing picks, but like this guy can develop and be a really good a good piece to add in their rotation. Or he could totally not be what they wanted, and the Chiefs feel like it does not going to hurt them that much. So they're like, let's take a chance. Let's see what happens. They're gonna take a chance on their coaching and stuff like that, and see where it goes.
Yeah, I will say this: they do have a good coaching staff,
Yeah,
so they could make the best out of it and come out looking like geniuses. So you're right, you're right.
yeah. It could work out for them. Not this year, but even next year
Yeah.
or the year before that. Like he's a young player, so
So next on the list is a trade between the Bills and the Colts. They both hit each other up, and they were like, "Hey man, I noticed your running back ain't really working out for you." And then they were like, "You know what? I kind of noticed the same about you, dog. Your running back ain't doing nothing for you either." And they're like, "How about we just swap?" And they're like, "Okay, let's just swap." What?
But they're like,
It can't get any worse, man.
We're not just gonna swap. We're gonna need a little bit more extra.
Yeah, because he was like, "Come on, man, with a name like Heinz, people are gonna automatically want to buy a hot dog and throw some ketchup and mustard on that thing." Okay, we helping you out because ever since we had this dude, the sales in the concession stands have gone up. Not jersey sales,
crazy,
but
skyrocket.
not jersey sales, just snacks and food. Because his name was Heinz, and they're like, "Dude, I could go for some hot dogs. I I need some ketchup and mustard in my life right now. Maybe some relish too."
The goated 3-piece.
Yeah. So,
but the Bills, man.
I don't really see this as like a giant game changer. If this works out for the Bills, then I see them being able to do some more things to put pressure on Kansas City, because in order to beat them, you need to be able to run out that clock on them too. And so if this works out, this is a good trade. If it don't, then it is what it is. They're about the same as they were before.
Yeah.
They're still a great team.
Yeah.
What about
now
you?
The Colts, though, yeah. I mean, the Colts, they got decent coming back to them. They fill the running back position and they gave up. to get a 5th-round pick. You know, it's
Yeah, that part's probably the
kind of
more valuable part is the 5th round
the
pick.
most valuable is the pick. The pick's the valuable part for them.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, like you said, the Bills, like it could help them. If it doesn't, they're they're pretty much right where they were. Still they still able to compete against the teams they need to compete against come the playoffs. But who knows? He could shine bright for them like a diamond. You know.
So talk about this pretty pedestrian trade, in my opinion, between Miami and your team.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, it's you know, looking at it like this. Oh, we traded for the 49ers traded for Chris McCaffrey. Elijah Moore, who was injured with the MCL sprain earlier in the season. He is reportedly going to be making a comeback after the bye week. So that's good news. With Jeff Wilson in the picture, kind of crowds up the backfield because we also have we have a rookie in Jordan Mason as well. So and it's just a lot of players that going to be jumbling up the backfield. But this is a good move. I love Jeff Wilson. I mean, he was our leading rusher this season since Elijah Mitchell went out. Dolphins are going to get a great running back. He's going to be rejoining Raheem Mostert, former teammate. And we get one of our pick. We get a pick back that we gave up to get Christian McCaffrey. So I mean, it works out in both of our favors. I think a little bit more for the Dolphins because they're giving up Edmonds. They get another running back, and a solid one at that. And yeah, also Jeff Wilson gets back with Mike McDaniels, former offensive coordinator, now head coach. So I mean, it's a good trade. I don't think any more or any less could have been done for it. I don't feel like that we needed more as in the 49ers. I mean, we already have a lot, but getting that pick, one of those picks back, is pretty big.
Yeah, I would have to agree with like a lot of what you just said. Plus, with Miami's head coach being your guys' former OC, things that you normally see in the league, especially like when they see a guy's cut or on the fringe of being traded away somewhere, uh, they usually will be like, no, we need to like sign this guy or we need to trade for this guy. Trust me, I know. I spent time
and he
with him.
knows.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the only thing that he would have to get acclimated with is with the roster, but as far as like the play calling, he already knows how the play calling is going to be because he had that with you guys when dude was your guys' OC. So yeah, and then you guys getting a 5th-round back, like that's pretty nice because you get to use that right away. It's not one in the future; it's one for this year. So
yeah,
that's a nice thing to have. Picks are never a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's good. I don't feel like we're losing a lot. I mean, now that we got McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell coming back, don't get me wrong, I love Jeff Wilson. He's a hard runner. He's a hard player, but it's just it's business at that point. You know, you got to make moves.
So
But I think it's good.
the next trade that we got is between the Jets and the Jags. And I actually really like this pick for the Jets because they've been a surprise team, man. And
Yeah,
being able to add a decent name at the running back position, James Robinson, to me,
yeah,
that's just a positive thing. And they got him for practically nothing because it's a conditional six
yeah,
round pick, and I'm not too sure if the condition means that there's a good chance that it could be a fifth round one. If that's the case, then it's about an
yeah,
even trade. But if it stays at 6, then I feel like that was a hell of a steal right there for them.
yeah. And this trade happened a little bit like before the deadline.
Yeah,
So James Robinson actually had one game under
yeah,
the Jets already,
yeah,
but he didn't have much time to prepare for the game. So he didn't have like a really big game for him. They obviously went, they had the backup to Brees Hall
yeah,
carried more of the workload because he knows more of the playbook. But now that, James Robinson has now, same thing with McCaffrey.
yeah,
He's getting more acclimated, stuff like that. You're going to see him get a little bit more workload. He's going to have, more success.
yeah.
So,
I just felt it necessary to bring it up because not only was it next on the
yeah,
list, but we didn't talk about this, and it's because, like, you know what, we haven't been talking enough about the Jets, even though we did mention them not that long ago, saying that they're a very physical team. They have to me a very good defense. Um,
yeah,
them adding James Robinson, like, he's a pretty physical back as well. So
he is.
I I like that because he's in the same mold as the rest of this team. The way they're playing, they're tough, physical
Yeah,
team. You can't say that about every team in the NFL because there are some that are more like finesse. Like, I would say that, like, for instance, the Chiefs. I feel like they're a very finesse team.
very finessey. Very
Yeah,
finessey.
the only one who's very physical to me is Chris Jones. Everybody else is a
Yeah.
finesse type player.
Yeah.
Um,
But the
but
Jets
yeah,
make out good here too because losing Brees Hall like that, which is terrible. You never want to see anybody get injured like that, but when guys play hard like that, it happens. But seeing them come up with a good back like James Robinson is good, and yeah, I'm excited to see what the Jets do this season, the rest of the season. Um, there's um, a little bit of I wouldn't say like controversy, just a little bit like there's like no chemistry between quarterback Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore, who people thought Elijah Moore was going to be this breakout wide receiver after what he did last year. Um, but there's kind of been just an absence there between the two of them. Um, Elijah Moore, he spoke out on it. He's like, I don't know, man. I'm just not getting the ball. So I don't know if it's a chemistry thing or if it's just, you know, uh, a playbook thing. If they're not wanting to give him getting targets or whatever. But I feel like Elijah Moore, he's a good wide receiver. He's small. He's kind of like that Brandon Cooks, Brandon Ayuk kind of guy. He's small, quick. He cuts. He's quick. He can get out there in space and create some plays. But yeah, the Jets team, man, they're looking good. And
yeah.
I think they have the Seahawks coming up. So I think it's going to be a good
Yeah.
game because another revenge game for Geno Smith on his revenge
For
tour.
reals, for reals.
He's on a revenge tour right now, dog. And he's completed 2 of the 3. So it's it's gonna be a good game to watch that one too.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye out for that one. That one's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Um,
Moving on to a trade that was the first one of the season, I think, wasn't it? This season was the
uh,
first trade.
the Roby Anderson one. Is that what
Yeah,
you're talking
wasn't
about?
it one of the
We
first one?
we've already talked about this one.
Yeah,
We talked about this before.
when it
Um,
happened, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm not sure if
This
I'm
was
like,
this wasn't like this was more of like a hey, I don't want this guy on my team anymore kind of trade, you know?
yeah.
Because there was some lashing out between head coach and Robbie Anderson
Hey,
during a game.
but this is like proof though that like it that that Roby isn't as I don't know, impactful
Yeah,
as people would probably like lead you to believe. Because I mean, Arizona's 3-5. This was
yeah,
this was done a while back, and
like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago.
yeah, and I still say that Carolina made out with that one because they get picks. I mean, they're very low picks, but they were like, "I will take anything. I don't care." So,
Get this guy out of here. That was kind of
yeah,
the thing. They're like, get this guy out of here. I'll take whatever. They're like, all
yeah,
right.
yeah. But really, I'm looking around. There's not really many trades, but like a lot of trades that I'm seeing are ones that happened a while back. But you know what
Yeah,
I would
we went
say?
over.
I wanna speak on two things. One, how active this season has been with trades because I've never, or at least I don't recall there being such an active year with moves.
Yeah,
I just don't recall it because like NFL is not like other sports. For example, the NBA, lots of trades happen because it's a lot of season. You know, it's a lot of games in a season. So
Major
they
League Baseball. There's a lot of
say,
trades that happen. You
and
know,
there's a lot of
long
games.
season.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and so with like football, they always are like, you know, it takes maybe it'll take like a couple of weeks to figure out if this dude is any good or not, or you know what I mean, like
yeah,
so like they they can't like be a prisoner of the moment kind of thing. um if a dude has a bad week, he's probably gonna have a real solid one the following week. So you can't just trade a dude because you're like, you know what, I need to move on, this dude's trash. um
yeah,
but like in baseball and in basketball, there's so many more games in a week that you get enough sample size in a short amount of time that you you can evaluate guys and you move on from them. Um,
yeah.
but I want to like talk about some of the teams that surprised me that didn't make a move. I want to talk about.
I think.
Go ahead. I'll let you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say the number one team who I thought should have made a move, didn't make a move was Green Bay.
You know what? You're right. I was actually going to say it was the Cowboys, but you're right. It's Green Bay with the struggles that they had at wide receiver. Um,
Yeah,
that was pretty surprising. And didn't they have a guy go down with an injury last week?
I think so. Yeah,
Um,
there was everybody was trying to get to talk to Aaron Rodgers, and they were asking him like, "Are you surprised that they didn't do anything, or what's going on?" He was kind of just like he was like, "I mean, yeah, I thought we were gonna do something. I mean, I know there was calls, maybe they didn't get a deal done, but we're gonna go forth with what we got, kind of thing." And I was like,
the so
"Eh,
you know
okay,
it's kind of interesting. because like the two teams that we thought of. Okay, you thought Green Bay, I thought Cowboys. Both teams are
Yeah.
not. They're not really heavy into trades.
Yeah.
They're very much free agency and drafting. But I would say Green Bay is more into drafting than they are in free agency, and Cowboys are probably better
Yeah.
with the free agency than drafting. Well, actually, no, they're not, because they've had a lot of cap room, and they just chose not to spend it on anybody. I think it depends. If it's a name and it makes
Yeah.
sense, then they get them. But
I mean,
'cause
there
that
is one name floating around in free agency is OBJ.
oh yeah, OBJ. I was like, wait,
So he's
what?
still out there.
Yeah,
Nobody's put their bid in. There's a lot of talks about teams that could go for him. Just a couple off the top of my head is actually one of them is San Francisco, Dallas, and I
Green
think
Bay,
another team. But
Green Bay,
Green Bay could be another
and there was
team that
Kansas
go after
City.
him.
Yeah,
Kansas City. So like, who knows? Yeah, like, what's gonna happen?
If I was OBJ, I would sign with your team, bro. I would sign with the Niners because
If he
like think about it, man. He he went to the Rams
the Rams
because
let him down.
yeah, no, I'm saying that he went to the Rams though because he knew there was a shot at a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
And
and maybe even a couple Super Bowls.
and um and if it wasn't for that injury, he would still be with the Rams. But the thing is,
Yeah,
now that he's had a taste of what it's like to win it all and all that, and the
yeah.
Rams are real talk. I know Cooper Cup was really important, but so was OBJ. OBJ really
Oh,
started to
definitely,
click
big
in
time.
the postseason,
Yeah,
and and in that little bit that he was playing during the Super Bowl before he went out with the injury,
yeah,
um, dude was balling out.
yeah.
And
Could you imagine? Could you imagine just for like a side note? Could you imagine OBJ healthy, got his mind right? Because I know he's kind of, he's got a wild, personality at that times.
yeah,
Could you imagine Debo, Ayuk, and OBJ? And
yeah,
just that's man McCaffrey and Kittle,
that's a lot of firepower.
and the only person to fuck it up would be Jimmy G. But I love Jimmy. He just got to do his job. But that would be a crazy outcome. I think
Yeah,
it would be, to me, that's like too much.
yeah.
I'm just like, damn, that's a lot.
We've seen that before in the NFL where too much talent is too much to actually
Would I say would I say no if it actually happened? I'm like, okay, but I would be mad if it didn't. No.
yeah.
Would it be
Um
cool to see him go to Green Bay? Yeah, that'd be cool. But he's probably gonna want to sign to a team that you know is gonna make a push
and to me
if they
it's Kansas City and
Cowboys.
maybe Tampa. I'm just saying
Maybe Tampa.
as far as like, you know, teams that could make a push because I don't
Yeah.
care how bad the regular season is looking for the Buccaneers right now. As long as Tom can find a way to get into the postseason, then every team in the NFC should be afraid
Yeah.
because Tom, his will to win is usually way stronger than an entire team going against him. And when he like for instance when he lost to what was it, the Rams,
Mhm.
I mean, there wasn't much time left, but his defense let him down. So that's the only reason why they lost is because his team his team in the play calling screwed it up. It
Yeah.
wasn't on him. And this season, the entire team has taken steps backwards. I would say that he's taken a bit of a step backwards, but I think he's just finding it really difficult not having at least uh, an established name that's like a major threat
Yeah,
alongside Mike
somebody to be
Evans.
there's somebody to be a number 2 to take the
Because
pressure.
like he had that with Antonio and he had that with Gronk. Those are two
Yeah.
major names that you have to always account for. And so like he could spread the wealth to anybody on the offense. But every once in a while he'll drop it off to those guys. They make things happen and they remind defenses that you have to like play everybody. You can't double team. If you
Yeah.
do, Tom is gonna find that open person. But right now,
Yep.
his receivers aren't doing enough to even get a defense to you know to mess up
Make
like
the
they did.
mistakes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if
That's
they
another
got
team I'm surprised that didn't make moves. Tampa.
yeah, uh, I think they're waiting to see what happens with OBJ. I
Yeah.
think they're waiting to see also teams cutting guys, teams that didn't make trades that wanted to. I forget who it was. Somebody actually cut somebody. It was a defensive tackle, and it was because they couldn't trade him. And a lot of teams they know that there's certain guys that are about to get cut, and they're like, why would I
Yeah.
trade? Why would I trade for the dude when I could just pick him up?
Not only is the trade deadline cool, like fun to watch, but it's also the days after where you get to see people. You get these signings that come after the trade deadline as well. So it's not just that it ends there. So we'll see come Sunday what else is being done.
Yeah. So I'm also surprised that my team didn't make a move. Um,
Yeah,
I was
I
hoping that
made
they,
one, but it wasn't beneficial. Really, it
yeah,
wasn't a big name or anything.
I was hoping that it would be some more defensive help, like like I don't know, maybe another cornerback or something, because like not ha-
Secondary, yeah,
not having Nate Hobbs out there, like it's to make
you can
things
see it.
extra difficult. Yeah,
You can see it hurting.
Rock is real good, but he's not on the same level as Nate, and yeah, we really need another guy that's on those guys' levels. Um,
Yeah,
and I know that would probably take a lot, but the thing that I wish that my team did early on was to follow that LA Ram blueprint of, you know what, you have enough pieces that says that you're a deep playoff team. So now let's get rid of draft capital to go from a deep playoff team to a championship contender. So I thought that that's what they should have done, because you know they they proved how good they were. Like we were like a play away from eliminating Cincinnati, and nobody in the entire playoff run that they had came close to beating them except for us. They ran
yeah,
they ran through the AFC, and so that to me, says something about how good my team actually is. And so, yeah, I felt like they should have, you know, put all their chips in and said, "All right, now give me some of the big names out there. Let's make this an amazing ass team that people are like, yo, they are a heavy favorite over the Chiefs and the Bills, or at least in that same conversation." But
yeah.
So I was surprised about that. Was there any other
Yeah.
team that you were surprised that didn't make a move?
No team to mind. Just the ones that we mentioned.
Okay.
Or the most surprising ones.
All right. Well, since there isn't much more to talk about on the NFL side, we'll transition to the NBA. But before I do, I want to remind everybody to please subscribe if you aren't subscribed. Hit us up in the comment sections. Hit the like button, and if you subscribe to us, hit the notification bell so that way you're notified every time we get on. But now we're gonna talking. Now we're gonna be talking about the NBA, man, and there's so much drama, and primarily from one team. I'm talking about the Brooklyn Nets.
Another team that is not doing anything.
So let's start with the controversy before we get
big topic.
Because the controversy is around Kyrie Irving and him being very insensitive towards the Jewish community. You know, posting a link to a video, which Kyrie Irving, I like his offensive game, but I don't like him as a person. And this has been a thing for a long time. I started disliking him when he got traded to the Celtics. I feel like he ruins teams, and he's just a controversial guy. He is a lot like Aaron Rodgers, who throws people under the bus, and is a blame deflector, and is a conspiracy person.
Conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, conspiracy theorist.
A saboteur. No, it's all these things.
He's a lot of things that you can come up with, man. But like, he likes to think very highly of himself. Like, he's the smartest person in the room, and yet when he speaks, sometimes he sounds so dumb. Like, when he was interviewed about the link he posted up, I mean, he said, I've been thinking about this one topic, and I got my conclusion when I typed in whatever it was that he typed in. I can't recall off the top of my head, but he was like, I wanted to see if Amazon Video had it. Like, bro, that's your source of information. Dude, not everything that Amazon has to stream is educational. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of fake educational stuff on there, like you wouldn't believe. You know, like, it's like the Discovery Channel and the History Channel. They do shows that are like fake as hell, but they try to make it seem like it's a for real thing. Like the thing about mermaids. That was fake as hell, but lots of people believed it. I remember you kind of believed it for a second.
It made it seem very real. That's what it was. It made it seem very real. That's why it's, you know.
But you know what?
You can mistake it for being...
Kyrie Irving's dumbass would have thought that was real.
He was like, 100% is real.
Mermaids. I mean, he thinks
Ariel's real.
He thinks that the Earth is flat, bro.
Yeah.
So...
That's another thing why I don't like him. Can't trust flat earthers, man.
Yeah. And so there's all that drama, and
more.
And I feel bad.
You hate to see it. You do. You really hate to see it.
Him and KD got Steve Nash fired.
Yeah.
Like,
when Steve Nash is possibly one of the best basketball minds of their latest generations.
Like he might be a very, very good head coach, but how can you tell when he's on a team that has those two?
Yes, very egotistical players.
Yeah, like you're never gonna know what this dude is capable of when like he didn't have Kyrie because of the vaccination thing, and so he's missing games because a lot of different states, and in the case of the Raptors, country have strict laws on the vaccine thing.
Yeah.
And so so he wasn't allowed to be in a lot of arenas on the road. And if you're a playoff team, especially if you have to meet up against Toronto, like that's unacceptable to me.
Oh yeah.
You know, because you're getting paid
100%.
so much money, and he's trying to be a martyr for those that that also don't believe in the whole vaccine thing, that they shouldn't be required to, or yada yada. But like, you know, those
Same
the
thing like A-Rod.
the people that feel that way, like even if they're in the right, they would be the martyrs, not him, not Aaron Rodgers. They're getting paid millions of dollars whether they play or not.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he was missing games because of that, and also missing games whenever he felt like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was like, I needed to de-stress. But like this dude couldn't like pick up the phone and hit these guys up. They would like put out an APB on the dude, because like this is how much MIA he would go. Like he would ignore calls, texts, all that. He's so unprofessional. And
if I was the owner, I'd be want my money back, man.
Yeah, and like the organization has
keep the
done
receipts.
The organization has done nothing but bend over backwards for those two. Anything they wanted, whenever they wanted a player to be signed to the team, or when they traded for James Harden, it was because they wanted him.
Yeah.
And
do you also kind of feel bad for Ben Simmons being put in a situation there? Being brought in to a bad situation?
So I guess and like with you like bringing up that type of situation, yeah.
Because now it's turned to a bad situation.
But
head coach is fired. These guys are just kind of doing whatever.
But he also kind of got Steve Nash fired because of his play. His play has been trash. The dude, like, I think he had a game where he only scored 4 points. You know, he fouled out in a couple of games. He like, because he never really worked on his game to like really improve as a scorer, as a shooter, it made him look even worse with all that time off. Like I do believe he had a serious back injury. But the thing is, like, for instance, Klay Thompson, okay? Klay had back-to-back years with serious career-threatening injuries. But because he always worked on his game throughout his entire career, even with him not being the same player, he was still able to rely on things that he's always had been working on. So like just being a spot up shooter. You know, he doesn't have to, you don't have to like cross people up and try to get to the basket and all that. He could just impact the game with whatever limitations he has.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons though, he's his own limitations, and he can't really contribute. So, but if I had to go just as far as like the drama aspect and what that could do to his career, yeah, I do feel bad for him because he's gonna be on a team that is going to slowly blow up.
And not blow up in a good way.
Yeah. So I feel
Yeah.
bad for him, man. I don't know.
But
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts
mostly
on the drama and everything, man?
I mean, Kyrie is a professional basketball player who's getting paid a lot of money to do this. He's got to do better, man. You know, he's got to do better as a person, and like put your feelings or how you feel about things aside. You're there to do a job. You're getting paid to do a job. You know, you're there to bring success to this franchise. You're brought there for a reason. You got KD there. You know, like you're supposed to be. You're held accountable for these things, and you're not doing it. And not even just like this season, last season too. Like it's rolled over to this season. It just sucks to see. I don't know. Like we said, he's a great player when he wants to be, kind of,
Yeah.
And it's sad to see him kind of just throw it away, and throw away the chances of this organization. And it's just not the way you do things. They got to do better. He's got to do better. And it really sucks to see Steve Nash get fired like that. But at the end of the day, that's the one who's going to take the hit is the head coach.
And the other wild thing about them is the next controversial thing. They are in the process of hiring Ime Udoka, who has been suspended by the Celtics because of having an inappropriate relationship with an employee, and and they're not even seeking compensation. Like they're like, go ahead. So a lot of people believe that even if he had served the year-long suspension, that the Celtics wouldn't retain him. But I just find it crazy that the Nets are.
You go get another problem piece, like.
Yeah, because if it ain't bad enough that you got Kyrie bringing all this crap to your team, now you about to piss off a whole lot of people who probably dislike Ime, and they don't. The inappropriate relationship thing, like he was basically just having an affair, or I guess because I don't know if he's married to the chick that he's supposed to be with, but he the reason most I think all of the teams have that same rule, and it's to protect people from one another because this lady that he was in a relationship with could easily say that I didn't get a promotion or because of him or whatever, because he promised me something if I did something, just lie about what the relationship was about. So it's to protect people from one another because there's all kinds of things that you can think of that could come into play off of, like, if you guys have a bad breakup, bad ending to your relationship, the kinds of things that get brought up after. So I do think that Ime deserves a second chance, but I find it crazy that Brooklyn is willing to put themselves out there so soon after this firing and this drama with Kyrie, and also find it kind of weird about this whole like, well, he's suspended from one team, but he can be activated right away if he signs with another team.
Yeah. It's
Like,
just kind of.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think about that part? Just that last part. What do you think about that last part?
It's kind of sleazy, kind of. It's kind of just like, well, you guys suspended him, but we didn't. Like,
Yeah.
when we hire him, that all goes away, kind of thing.
Do you think the league should like intervene on that, or what do you think?
You would like to see them do that, you know? You would like to see them do something.
But you personally, would you be like, it's not a big deal to me, or you know what, something should happen of something.
Something should happen, but if it doesn't, I'm like, who cares? Send them to that dumpster fire anyway. It's not going to be, or it's not going to work out for them anyway. The hell? As long as the Nets have Kyrie, it's not going to be good.
Do you think it deserves a fine or a suspension if the league does intervene in any way?
I mean, I think he should just carry out his suspension.
You think so?
Carry out his suspension, and if the Nets want to go through it, have him carry out his suspension, have an interim replacement, you know, and then once he's up for his suspension, then he comes over. That would be the thing to do, because he's got to do, you know, he's got to pay for his, his actions.
Yeah, because I kind of agree with you.
Because if you do that, then it sends a message like, oh, hey, anybody can do it, and if you're in a situation where you're suspended, anybody can just go out, hire you or something. You know, it's kind of swept under the rug at that point. But like, it's got to stick. You know,
there should be some type of consequence. You're bringing up some very valid points that you kind of like swayed me just now. Because originally I was like, maybe just a fine, like a fat fine, but then I'm kind of thinking with what you're saying, you know, he should carry out some type of suspension, whether it's the original suspension or not. But he should have some type of consequences, because like you said, it sends off a bad message if there isn't. Because what if there is a guy out there who has an inappropriate relationship, but it really was legit, not consensual? You know, like, then what? Because then all you're doing is you still have a he said she said kind of moment, right? And if he gets suspended, he can go to another team. If you have a possible like predator on your hands, then it's like, you didn't at least, at the very least, hold this standard of like putting fear.
We don't tolerate the
because you need to put fear out there, because some dudes that might have it in them to be a predator are also very cowardly, and if they know that they're gonna like deal with some real bad stuff, then they become like the functional kind of predator, where they're like, I have these thoughts, but I just don't act on them, kind of thing. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, like, you're right. There should be something. It shouldn't be a slap of the wrist, because if he gets picked up by the Nets and he gets to be activated right away, then it was just a slap of the wrist. He only had to miss out the off season and a few games. That's it.
Yeah.
And
who says he? And if you let that go, who says it doesn't do it again? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the other thing. Like, if you slapped his wrist, then he's probably gonna think that he could absolutely do it again, and maybe that the reason why the Nets were so quick to make this happen was because to them they don't care.
Yeah, they don't.
So, um,
Bunch of baloney, man.
so that's the only drama or news that I can think of that's in the NBA. Can you think of anything?
Not much other. That was
I
it. That was a big story.
I just find
I
it
mean,
crazy that it all revolves around the
you feel
Nets.
yeah, you feel bad for Steve Nash, but you also be like, hey, look, he got out of a bad situation.
He
You
did. He
know?
did. He did because the comments that Kyrie made also when they got him was not cool either. Him
Yeah.
saying we don't need a coach. Like how disparaging is that, bro? Like that's such a
Mm-hmm.
messed up comment to say to the public. Like you don't have to say that. You could joke around about it maybe in the locker room, but to humiliate him, uh, and that's always been the thought with. Ever since that was said, that always gets brought up. If you
Mm-hmm.
tune into Fox Sports or ESPN or anywhere else, TNT, they always bring up that comment. And how I couldn't take it. If I'm always having
No.
my name brought up about the whole, we don't even need a coach, man. How do you think that makes Steve Nash feel, man? And this dude is being not only disrespected in that way, but also disrespected with the things that he's done in the league. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I F around and talk crap about Canadian players all the time. Okay,
Yeah.
but Steve Nash is probably the only one that I give like some real respect to. That's a Canadian player because this dude was tough.
Yeah.
This dude, I've seen him go out there and play with a broken nose, and when you're constantly running and sprinting, and on top of that, he's a point guard, so he's doing even more running than everybody else, and you have cotton all up in your nose because you're trying to stop the bleeding and you can only breathe in and out through your mouth. That makes it so hard. You have to be so tough and resilient to like go out there and play when you can't breathe through your nose and exhale out your mouth. Like,
Yeah.
I give major props to him. He's a two times MVP. When he went to the Suns and they're like, I remember they dissed him back then because he's an older player, and it seemed like he was aging like a fine wine. The older he got, the better he got. So
Yeah.
two-time MVP, multiple time All Star, um, a skills champ, led the league in assists multiple times. Went deep in the
You gotta
playoffs.
put respect on his name.
He's he's probably the first Canadian to ever do shit with their career. Real talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Real talk.
And I'm talking about the NBA, not like sports in general, because I know Canadians have done other things. Cause I said, was it this last time where I said that I give hockey players all the respect?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I give them
Yeah.
respect because they're tough dudes. They the stuff that they go through. There's no little pity awards given to them. Like it's either you did it or you
Yeah.
don't, or you didn't. So yeah, I feel very bad for Steve Nash. I hope he gets another job soon.
Oh
I
yeah.
hope what happened to him and with Brooklyn doesn't take away from his desire to be a head coach.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he he shouldn't let that get to him if coaching is his passion. Um, and if it is his passion, then he needs to continue to pursue it, whether it be in the NBA or the collegiate level. But either way, I feel like he'll have a much better go around the next time. Because I
Yeah.
gotta believe a guy that's that good with things that I listed off of his career achievements, a guy that's that good, um, I gotta believe that he has like the craziest highest IQ.
Oh, you got to think like, especially him being point guard. He's a facilitator. And that just goes hand in hand with being a coach. Having the same mindset as the guys you're coaching, just a little bit fine tuned. You know,
Yeah.
I think his next, hopefully his next position, he does it works out for him.
Yeah, most former players that turn head coach are point guards.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not too sure there have been many point guards that have had his credentials. So imagine having that for a head coach.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. You know, I don't think it'll happen the remaining of the season. Who knows? Or next season.
let's talk about one last thing, and that
Yeah.
is
One last thing, and then we'll get to wrapping everything up.
let's talk about the Sacramento Kings, man, because that's our hometown team.
Yeah.
They
Let's do
went
it.
against Miami. It was a very close contested game. It had so many lead changes. It was well over 20.
26, 20, almost 27 lead changes.
Yeah, and I don't even
Yeah.
know if that's a record or not, but like that
I
feels
have
like it.
no it
That
was a
was
very defensive game.
it was up and down. Both teams missing their star player, but both teams showed their depthness. Um,
Yeah.
Man, it was a fun game from beginning to end, man.
It
Um,
was it was it was intense to watch. It was fun.
I mean, just to give you guys an idea, if you guys look at the box score, you'll see that every quarter was only separated by like 1 point.
Except for the fourth
Except
quarter
for the
was
fourth quarter,
2
it was
points.
2 points, but all the other quarters
Yeah,
was
that's that's
one
because
point.
that's because that's because the fourth quarter, they shot up a three
Yeah.
to go up in the game, but it was right there.
Tell me
Some good points to talk about.
yeah.
Some
Give
some
me
stuff to.
give me some stuff, man. Tell me what it was like for you on your end watching the game. What are stuff that
Watching
stood
the
out?
game.
All that.
I saw the Kings play their best defensive game this season. Um, just all around, just they were they were not giving up easy shots. They were doing really, really well with fouls. I mean, props to Domas Sabonis. He was a big player in this game. Didn't give. He was, he only had one foul, two fouls.
Two
He had
fouls.
one foul right at the end of the game.
Yep.
Right at the end of the game, and it was so relieving to see him not be in foul trouble real early in the game. He put up good numbers, 22 points, 12 rebounds, eight assists. Like that's what you want from your big. Um,
Yeah, and he shot a
another,
great percentage too, bro.
yeah, he was he shot really good. Um, he had some really clutch free throws towards the end of the game, which kept us into the game with a chance to win it. Um, Off the bench, Malik Monk, huge.
Dude, that dude
So
was
he was a spark for the
big
team.
time spark, man.
Yeah, 19 points, 7 assists. Big 22 minutes from him. Um, it kind of sucked towards the end of the game. Kevin Huerter was a little bit hurt, so he didn't finish out the game. Like I wish he would have, because I feel like if he was in there, we would have had a really good chance to get a last minute shot, or a nice contested shot on the defensive side.
Yeah.
Little bit. I saw Keegan Murray's first not bad game, just a kind of just a rough game for him. I don't know if it was the traveling. This is his first like real road trip of the season, so I don't know if the traveling is getting to him, or maybe if he just had a rough game. It was a couple turnovers he had, couldn't really get the shot going, so a little bit less minutes for him. But I mean, it works out. We don't play till Saturday, so we had a couple days off to travel. Don't have to travel far to going to Orlando. So they got a couple days to recoup, and we'll have De'Aaron. Hopefully, De'Aaron will come back, and then which will help us bounce back from this. But overall, just a good game. There was some shots that I wanted to see go in, but didn't. They're good looks. Defense was really, really great. Not a lot of fouling, which is way better than all the rest of the games this season. But yeah, what I've liked to see more out of is Davion.
Yes.
A little bit more production for the minutes he got. Especially coming off the last game where he clutched up big time in big time moments. Those are pretty much my my speaking points, really. The Heat were just able to get that big shot, and I said to myself, this game is going to come down to who has that time for the big shot, and they give the ball to Tyler Hero, and Tyler Hero does what Tyler Hero does and comes up with the big score.
Yeah. So shout out to the ref that didn't call the travel.
Yeah, the travel. Yeah.
He allowed Hero to be the hero of the game.
Yeah.
And it was a major travel too. Like that's what drives me crazy.
It was blatant. It was right there.
The referee that is supposed to eye down Tyler for that shot, he's only really paying attention to the feet to make sure it's a 3-pointer. But
yeah,
that whole time that he was looking at the feet, he never saw too much shuffling around. Like that drives me nuts, man. Like, come on, dog. I don't. Yeah. I'm whenever the 2-minute report comes out, I don't know if it's already out. I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna say in the 2-minute report that was a travel. They're gonna say that like there were 2 no calls for Harrison, because I feel like Harrison Barnes was fouled like once or twice, and then it got no whistle. So, but like this was a very, very close game, very tight. I do have to factor in the referees on this one, because it could have changed the fortune for the Kings. Even
if they look back at the last time he played them, Tyler Hero got called for a travel on the same kind of shot.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. Like, if you look at like the other controversy is with the Warriors and Jordan Poole, getting called 3 times for the carrying. A lot of people do that. A lot of guards and point guards, they do that. They get away with it. Also, this little step that Tyler Hero does, which is traveling, people get away with that too. It's just it's just the refs not paying attention to everything.
I think
They're
it's
only paying attention to the one part of the
yeah,
the feet.
I think the paying attention part plays into it, but I also think I believe in what Coach Mike Brown said, which is there's a possibility of biasness because
Biasness.
because
Yeah,
they're
we're not going to get those
they're
calls. We're not going to get them.
because we're the Kings and we've
Yeah.
been on this playoff drought for a very long time. The drought is so long that if it was a person, it could legally drive. And yeah, I know that they are gonna deny something like that, but like you're a human being. Like, remember when I brought up Sabonis needed to foul less because the reputation will be there that he
Mm-hmm.
fouls a lot, and so they're not going to give him the benefit of the doubt, kind of thing. When
Yeah.
when he commits a quote unquote foul, but if you looked at the replay, it's not a foul. You're just buying into the flopping and things like that, and
Yeah. Which he did a very good job tonight.
he
Which
did a phenomenal
the
job.
Miami Heat. That's kind of what they know for, especially with Kyle Lowry. He's gonna draw fouls on you.
So I think the
Yeah.
reason why Keegan Murray didn't perform so well is because of the fact that Sabonis was able to stay out of foul trouble. I know that sounds kind of weird, but
Yeah.
when think about when Sabonis is in foul trouble, who's usually stepping up for us? It's been Keegan Murray.
Keegan. Yeah.
So he's putting up more shots. I'm not gonna say that he puts less effort because he sees that Sabonis is there, but it's just a different look for him that he has to adapt to
Yeah.
because you want your best players out there at all time, and Sabonis is the well, technically it's Fox, but because Fox isn't
On the
in the
floor.
game,
Yeah.
Sabonis is the best player.
Yeah.
But when Fox does come back, it'll be Fox, Sabonis, then I guess you would say Keegan or maybe Herter. But either way,
Yeah.
he has to be able to work with that kind of talent. It's a lot of talent to have to be in the rotation with.
Yeah.
And
And when you have that talent and you have 1, 2, maybe 3 guys that kind of got the hot hand, and they get the ball, your best move is to cut, try to get open looks, move the ball around more, and feed into these guys. There's other ways to help the team if you're not scoring points.
yeah, and that's the other thing. Sabonis tried to do a lot of different kinds of scoring from the post.
Yeah.
And so you brought up Keegan Murray being a cutter. Well, if Sabonis is already in the lane, it makes it kind of hard for him to cut if they're on the same side.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Trying to get some motion going. I think something that Keegan needs to work on that could help with being in a better position for when Sabonis is on the floor with him is to set an off-ball screen for someone else. So this way he takes that person's place.
Yeah.
And Sabonis will have that angle to kick it out to him for a 3-pointer or something like that.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. This is one of the better games that the Kings have played. Um, and I enjoyed the heck out of it uh, because, like, it wasn't that long ago that we played against Miami. So, both teams have familiarity
And
with
this
one another. In the
and this
very
was a definitely different game than the last one.
Yeah, and so what this tells me is that if the Kings get into the playoffs, they can hang with a team that they see, um, consistently. Because when you're in the playoffs, you're playing that team, and it gets harder and harder when you face the same team over and over for at least four
Yeah.
games. It's best out of seven. So um, that this tells me that they can handle that, because the game in between this game and the last game was just the Hornet game, and
Yeah.
um, but that's enough time in between that you could say, hey, that's kind of like a playoff situation. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed the heck out of it.
It
I do wish that Davion would have played better. Um, like I felt like that he should have had a lot more assists, a little bit more scoring, but more so the assists, be a better facilitator. Um, just overall, just have more impact in the game. I feel like he's been
yeah.
struggling this year with that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, he only really picked it up in the final quarter. Um, Other than that, he was very quiet.
But again, I got to give props to Miami, man. They don't care who's on the court. They play their butts off, man.
They
So
did.
give it up to that culture, because I'm pretty sure Mike Brown, he's trying to mold his Kings team to be very similar to this Miami Heat team, where they put out that maximum effort to
Yeah.
always be in the game and stuff. And here they are without Jimmy Butler and Victor Oladipo, and they're just balling out. It just
Yeah.
shows the depth of both teams. It really shows
Yeah.
off the depth.
Well, it also shows that the Heat, just outshine with their chemistry. These guys have been playing for a little bit longer together as a squad than we have. So it shows their chemistry in the final seconds of the game. Um, but yeah, I mean, great performance by both teams.
That's a
Uh,
great point. That they've been playing for a few years now together.
yeah,
Not much change in between the this year and last year's team.
yeah,
And the Kings were still able to hang, and they've had uh, a drastic change in their team with the addition of Keegan Murray, Kevin Herter, Deladova, um, you know Acapella. I could just go on and on, and plus the trades that they made last year. To get Trey Lyles, to have him be involved, and
yeah,
Sabonis was the trade that we had last year, and so it's not like a ton of time being together. This is Davion's second year now, so yeah,
yeah.
there's really the longest tenured guys is like
De'Aaron and
De'Aaron
Barnes,
and Barnes. That's about it,
Rashawn Holmes.
and Rashawn Holmes. That's it. Um,
I mean, you
so,
could also put the chemistry between Fox and Monk. I mean
but that was a long time ago.
that was
But
then, but now
but
you're starting to see it kind of come back to them.
yeah, yeah, and so yeah, hats off to both teams, really. And if you're a Kings fan like we are, it should be nothing but bright spots. You shouldn't look at none of the negativity. I mean, the only negativity really is the things that are like to the refs. But as
Yeah,
far as like getting player, really shouldn't, because this was a good game from start to finish. They're playing without their best player, who's been balling out of his mind. I read off the stats last time we were on, and that's a big difference. That's a whole lot of points that you're not getting this time around that you had last time around.
Yeah, it'd have been a different game if Fox was playing and Jimmy Butler was still out. This would have been a way more different game.
But yeah, this just makes me excited for the future of the Kings. Because like I said, it feels like Mike Brown wants to mold these guys to be very similar to the Miami Heat. Have that culture of you're taking your job super seriously, and you give me nothing but maximum effort, and all of that will keep you in games.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So yeah, man, I think that's about
Kings,
it.
Kings get a couple days off and they go to Orlando, and they play an okay looking Magic team. Yeah. But they get the rest. They get the rest they need. Come back healthy, and I see that as another dub right there.
Yep.
So nothing but bright spots, and we're there. They're looking good. I'm feeling good about it. So that's all. All the rest I gotta say. I'm done. Drop the mic.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you on Sunday.
Sunday.
And till then, I hope everybody enjoyed their Halloween. I hope everybody who got better over the deadline in the NFL liked the moves that they made. If your team didn't do it, then hopefully they have a nice second half to the season. So hope everybody does well, but we're gonna be heading on out. So
yeah.
Oh, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Slap that like button.
Slap it. Slap it like Will Smith did to Chris Rock. Slap it. All right, guys.
All right, everybody.